Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Rechak Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Jeremiah, the 19th chapter. As you can see, the broken jar. And in here, the Lord just has Jeremiah, using a similitude, right, in the physical sense of performing a certain action to symbolize, right, what the Lord is going to do. And oftentimes you'll see with the prophets of old, the Lord had them do that. One example also being Ezekiel, right, even also Isaiah, right, and so on and so forth. So this is Jeremiah 19:1. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, go and get a potter's earthen bottle. So in other words, like a jar or a bottle that's been made by a potter, and take of the ancients of the people and of the ancients of the priests. And the ancients were referring unto the elders. So basically gather some of the elders, and the elder priests, and have them go with you, and go forth onto the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is by the entry of the east gate. And this was an actual valley, right? Like a area that was well known to Israel, okay, because they ended up, a lot of wicked Israelites ended up using that place as a place of sacrifices, and worshiping of Molech, okay, and idolatry. So as it says here, and proclaim there the words that I shall tell thee, and say, hear ye the word of the Lord Yahweh, O kings of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem. So when you get there and they're there with you, this is what you're going to say to them, right? Say so they can hear it. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, right? The Lord and hosts meaning like armies. The God of Israel, behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever heareth, his ears shall tingle. So the Lord is going to bring such a devastating destruction that, it's like today when you either, it happens when you're cold, but if you hear something really shocking or like, something unexpected or something crazy, even if it's like a hype moment or something, like you can get goosebumps, right? You're just like your body would just, you have that like, that is almost like a tingling feeling. So that's like an equivalent of today. Like it's so crazy it gave you goosebumps. But the ancient world equivalent of like hearing that, it's almost unbelievable to your ears. Verse 4, because they have forsaken me and have estranged this place. So that area, right, the valley of the son of Hinnom, which was named after the son of, Hinnom, basically from a place where, because typically you would have certain valleys and so on that were used for things like garbage, like a garbage dump and so on. And so the Lord said they have estranged this place, meaning they've made it strange by, as it says, and have burned incense in it onto other gods. Okay, and it wasn't just the valley of Hinnom, but also the land, because it wasn't just that area where they had set up high places, or I should say they had set up altars upon the high places and so on. As it says here, and have burned incense in it unto other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers have known. Because as a nation, we weren't acquainted with these gods. Like we didn't grow up, right, as a nation with these gods. This wasn't, our God is Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, right, the Most High. So this is something that we came, or, Israel came to learn of. Right, and that's why he says that neither they nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents, because this wasn't the God of Israel or the God of the kings of Judah. This is the God of the heathens, an unfamiliar deity or unfamiliar gods that our people started to worship and become familiar with. And as it says, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents, and those innocents were actually children. All right, the sacrifices. verse 5, it says, they have built also the high places of Baal to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings onto Baal. See? So they would actually offer their children, their sons, okay, as burnt offerings. And what they would do as well is, in order to drown out the sounds or the cries of the babies that were burning, they would play loud sounds, right? Drums was one of them, beating drums and chanting really loudly, to drown out the sound of of the burning babies. It says here, with fire for burnt offerings onto Baal, which I commanded them not. So the Most High, as it says here, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind. So the Lord never commanded us to do this. He never commanded us to offer our children, as fire sacrifices and so on and so forth. And so, and so, the Lord is saying, like, this is something that I never even said or approved or would have even thought of. So they're doing this against my will in order to serve these idols. Verse 6, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that this place shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. Now, Tophet was a region or a part within the valley of Hinnom, right? And the Lord is saying it's going to be known as the valley of slaughter because of how much death is going to come by way of the judgment he was going to bring. Verse 7, and I will make void the counsel of Judah and Jerusalem in this place. So they're going to be brought so low, right? They're not going to have any reason or means of escape, okay, to be able to make it out of this situation. Because typically when certain events took place, you would have the king's court, right, or the elders that would gather, and they would say, like, hey, like, let's offer a sacrifice onto the Lord, or let's do a nationwide fast, or let's do something, right, that it can appease the Lord, and we can peradventure have mercy. But the Lord is saying he's going to make all that void. There's going to be no reprieve, no solutions, okay, to this situation that is going to come against Judah and Jerusalem. And I will cause them to fall by the sword before their enemies, so they will be slain, and by the hands of them that seek their lives, synonymous with their enemies, and their carcasses will I give to be meat for the fowls of the heaven and for the beasts of the earth. And when the Lord says that, you got to understand what it means. It's not just that you're going to die, but you will be deprived of a proper burial. Because when somebody dies and they bury that person's body, that's not their carcass, or their dead body is not meat for the fowls of heaven or the beasts of the earth. But if you're in a situation where you don't have anybody to bury you, your body's just left out there, that's when you become a carcass, or you become accessible to those vultures and birds of prey and so on, and then wild animals that can actually come in and eat up your dead body. Okay. Verse 8, and I will make this city desolate and unhissing. Everyone that passeth by shall be astonished and hiss because of all the plagues thereof. So they're going to look at this place, the neighboring nations, because remember, our Israel, where it was positioned, was King Solomon took advantage of this as well, because in order to go or send goods from north to south, you'd have to go through our territory, and from south to north. And that's why even during the time of the fall of the Assyrian Empire, when Pharaoh Necho was trying to go up to Carchemish, he had to go through our land, which is where Josiah met him, right? And then went to battle against him. So people would pass through or pass by, and you had neighboring nations. And all those haven't seen or having been about to see, at least from the time of Jeremiah, the desolation of a place that was once known for flourishing, for being separate, for being distinct. They would hiss, like they would be they would look at it as like damn, that's crazy, because of how bad the plagues or the destruction the Lord, or the judgment the Lord had intended to bring upon Judah and Jerusalem would be. Verse 9, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend in the siege and straitness. And that's literal, because in the siege, and the straitness meaning difficulty, in the siege where there's no food, right? Eventually they run out of food and they don't have anything to eat. And if they don't have anything left to eat, they start to eat themselves. Okay, that's cannibalism. It says here, and they shall eat everyone the flesh of his friend in the siege and straitness, wherewith their enemies and they that seek their lives shall straiten them. So the Lord, as history will tell you, had the Babylonian armies come, surround Jerusalem, right? Block off, cut off the goods going in and out, and you either gonna surrender or you're gonna stay in there and starve to death, or become weak enough to where you can't even defend your walls anymore, and then they could scale your walls and come in, right? Or break them down without you shooting arrows or trying to defend it. And so this was the scene the Lord was talking about, except it wouldn't go well in the favor of Israel or in the favor of Judah, because they would eventually run out of food, they would run out of water, and they would start to eat each other. Verse 10, then shalt thou break the bottle in the sight of the men that go with thee. So remember, in the beginning, the Lord told Jeremiah to get that earthen bottle, right, made from a potter, and take the elders with him to the valley of Hinnom, and then go and prophesy these things. So after prophesying these things, then he told them, right, to break the bottle so that they would all see it. Verse 11, and thou and shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, even so will I break this people and this city, just like I broke this bottle, as one breaketh a potter's vessel, that cannot be made whole again. And they shall bury them in Tophet till there be no place to bury. So that's signifying a great death, because Tophet was a valley, but it wasn't like a shallow place. So imagine throwing, you have so many dead bodies in there. You think the Babylonian armies were gonna dig up the ground and bury you, give you a proper burial? No. So more than likely, your body will probably get tossed up in there, thrown in there, as a way to avoid contamination. Either throw the bodies in there and burn them, as a quick way to get rid of them. But in any case, and then you see that on the like in movies or shows like Game of Thrones and so on. That's what they do, right? They if there's like a battlefield at the end, they gather the bodies in piles and they burn them, so that the bodies don't rot and lead to contamination and diseases and stuff like that. But as it says here, as one breaketh a potter's vessel that cannot be made whole again. So the Lord is saying that this destruction that's coming, you're not going to be able to escape it or to go back to the way you were. All right, your city, your stuff is getting broken down, and it's going to stay that way for a period of time, unless you make it new again. You're not going to be able to fix that old bottle. Thus will I do unto this place, saith the Lord Yahweh, and to the inhabitants thereof, even make this city as Tophet. Okay, as we just read up above, what the Lord said he would do to that area. And the houses of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Judah shall be defiled as the place of Tophet, because of all the houses upon whose roofs they have burned incense unto all the hosts of heaven. So the Lord is saying, just like they defiled Tophet with the blood of innocents and the sacrifices, I'm going to defile their habitations with their blood, right, and have them be slain and have them suffer because of all the housetops. Because back in the ancient world, the rooftops wasn't like today where it looks like a pyramid almost, right? Back then it was like you could actually go onto the rooftop. You could climb the stairs on the side and it would be like a level area. Sometimes people would pray over there and so on. And you had Israelites that were, as it says here, burning incense to the heavenly hosts, right? And idol worshiping on the top of the roofs. And have poured out drink offerings unto other gods. Then came Jeremiah from Tophet, whither the Lord Yahweh had sent him to prophesy. And he stood in the court of the Lord's house, which is a temple, and said to all the people, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will bring upon this city and upon all her towns all the evil that I have pronounced against it, because they have hardened their necks, that they might not hear my words. So they harden their necks is like being stiff-necked, and so they don't want to turn or adhere to the warnings of the Lord. And that brings us to the end of Jeremiah, the 19th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ruach HaKodesh. And until next time, Shalom.